back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you just a really quick, short, simple way that you can create like a directory zipper using Abrevia components. Specifically, we're going to be using the AB zipper component, and we're going to multi-thread it. Kind of. We're going to make one simple thread to work in the background. That way it doesn't affect the main GUI. So again, just to kind of reiterate, in this tutorial, we're going to make this component zip up any directory that you choose on your hard drive, and it's going to have a progress bar and show how far it is, and etc., etc. So let's call the main caption of the form directory zipper. Let's go ahead and go to project options and give it a theme. Bear with me here, guys. The IDE always seems to thread lock on this, and the Embarcadero team needs to fix that. If you guys are watching, please fix that before I go nuts and kill myself. So let's see here. Let's use green graphite. Why not? So we're going to use green graphite, and then we're going to go ahead and make ourselves a button. And the button is going to just be like, I guess we'll just put it like right here. This is just going to be a real quick, short, simple tutorial. This can be really good usage for people that want to maybe make like a quick backup script or something, you know, so you can back up an entire directory to a zip file, like maybe saving website files or just whatever, anything you need to back up. I'm actually going to be using this in a project that I'm going to be releasing eventually for Plex server backup. To automatically back up your entire Plex server in case you guys have to move to a different server entirely. So the button will simply say, let's just put it as, I don't know, maybe just zip up the directory or something, I guess. I don't know, just zip up the directory. Or I could just put zip directory, whatever. Let's grab ourselves a progress bar, and we're going to use the basic Win32 progress bar, and it can just go right here below the button. And we'll also, I guess, we'll kind of like leave that, but we'll try to do this a little bit nicer. Let's try to get a label or something. There are components that have a progress bar with like the percentage written inside of it, but for this, I'm just going to put a label here and just put this at 0%. So here, we'll do it this way. We'll go 0%. That way it shows us an actual percentage of the progress bar. Now, as the progress bar ticks upward, we're going to go to its event on change. So every time the progress bar ticks or becomes, you know, closer to 100%, the on change event fires every time the bar gets filled a little bit more. So the on change event, let's go ahead and program this now. We're actually going to say self.label1.caption is going to be equivalent to int to str self.progressbar1.value, or position rather. And then we're going to do plus, and we're going to put the percent sign there. Now I could do a formatting statement here and put like %d, and it would just automatically put a percent sign, but there's no point since we're just doing this very basic. We'll just go ahead and say that it's going to be the position of the progress bar itself plus %, so it shows the percentage every time the progress bar ticks. Okay, you follow me so far, guys? So that's that. So now what we have to do, we're going to need, we've already got our zipping component slapped onto our form. But the problem with this, and I'm going to explain this to you guys, the problem with using components on main VCL forms is that when you drag and drop a component onto the form, it is going to use the main VCL thread to operate unless the component code, the underlying code of the component actually deals in multi-threading usage. This one I believe actually does, but we're going to multi-thread it ourselves anyway, just to make it a little bit more nicer. So we're going to need to grab ourselves a save dialog box, because whenever the user clicks to zip a directory, we're going to pop up the save dialog box, and we're going to ask that user what he wants to do. So in other words, we're going to have to figure out like where we're going to, like, you know, what file we want to open first of all, and then we're going to find out where we want to save it. Now, Windows has like an API for doing the other thing, so I don't necessarily have to do an open dialog because I'm actually going to use something a little different. You guys are going to see that in the code. But for the saving, I just want to use a simple save dialog box. So we're going to click the button. It's going to ask us to choose a directory to zip up. and then it's going to pop this up and ask us, okay, where would you like to save the zip file? And once you've done that, it's going to start progressing and zip up the file, and when it's done, it's going to tell you it's done. Okay, so to start things off, we need to go into our code and we need to set up a thread, a TThread. So let's go ahead and hop over to our code. We're going to go all the way to the top of the code, and we're going to make a new type variable here. So, or a new type section. So we already have like the types for the form and all this crap, but we're actually going to put in some more. In fact, rather than do it in two different places, I'm just going to go ahead and use the type we already have to hopefully get this done. So we're going to call this TZip_thread. I don't know anything easier than to call this a TZip thread, okay? Because that's exactly what the thread's going to be doing. It's going to be zipping stuff up, right? So we're going to call it a class. Oops, if I can spell correctly. Maybe I need to go back to class and learn how to spell correctly. But this is going to be a type of TThread, okay? And we're going to have a couple of different things in this. We're going to have a private, and we're going to have a protected, and we're going to have a public variable declaration portion here where we're going to create with a constructor. The constructor is going to be a constructor for two strings, the selected directory and the saved location. So for the private, let's go ahead and get this going. We need private declarations. So the thread needs to hold two pieces of information. It needs to hold the selected directory that the user chose to save to, or I'm sorry, the selected directory where we selected the directory of where we're going to be zipping up, like the files within that directory to be zipped up. So the selected directory, dir. So we're going to make this type of string, and then we're going to do the save location. The save location is also a string. And then we're going to have our protected procedure, which is going to execute the thread. So procedure, and it always done the same way. On every thread you'll ever make, you always got to have an execute procedure. And it's going to be an override. So now that we've created our so-called execute procedure, it's red because we haven't programmed it down below, so don't freak out. We're just going to leave that there, and then we're going to go to public. So we have our protected procedure, which is an override, and then we have to create our constructor for our other stuff. So we have a public declaration here. This is public, which means it can be seen by other threads and other stuff, right? We're going to create a constructor, constructor, right? Create, and we're going to create two constant variables, which are strings. So constant variables, a selected directory and a save location. And these are both of type string. And that's all there is to it, guys. So we have just created our very own two string directories where our save location is and our actual directory is where we're going to. So this is the stuff we're going to be zipping up, and this is where we're going to be saving it to. You get me? Follow me so far? All right. So now we're going to come down into our code, and we're going to create this stuff. So right here, after the implementation section, let's go ahead and write our constructor. And in case you guys are wondering, this is red because we haven't written it yet. This is also red because we haven't written it down below yet, because there's nothing here, see? So it's going to say this is unsatisfied or forwarded, something like that. Yeah, unsatisfied forward because it's not satisfied going forward with this because there's nothing to go forward with. That's why it's red. A lot of you guys have been asking questions about that, like on my private Discord. So that's the answer to that, okay, guys? So we have to create this stuff down below, and we're going to start with the constructor, okay? So down here, we're going to create our constructor class. Well, we already created the constructor class. We're just going to write the code for the constructor. So constructor TZipThread, okay, dot create. And it automatically creates it for us because we already wrote the code up above. You see that? So now then, what we'll do is to begin, we're going to make sure that the created portion of this is inherited from the class that we already wrote above. So inherited create true. And then we're going to go ahead and put the selected directory equal to the public declaration, a selected directory, and the save location to the public declaration, a saved location of this constructor class. So the selected directory is equivalent to a selected directory. And the save location is equivalent to a save location. That is it. The constructor is complete, and it should no longer be read. And look at that. It works flawlessly. Okay, so at this point, we have to satisfy this one, which means we have to write our execute procedure. So let's go down below this one, and we're going to write that out now. So we're going to write a new procedure called TThread dot, can you guess? It's execute. There you have it. So now we're going to make a variable called directory name as a string. And then we're going to do begin. And we're going to start coding our stuff. So we need to get the directory name from the selected directory. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to preserve the directory name, and it's going to also be included in our zip file. So that is to say, if you had a folder on your desktop called test, and inside of that folder you had like 50 folders with tons of files in each one of them, it's also going to grab that first directory from your desktop and preserve it. We're going to preserve the file name, and you guys will see what I'm talking about in a minute, okay? So what we'll do is we have to get that directory's name for preserving purposes. So the directory name is going to be equivalent to extract file name. This is a Windows API call. The selected directory. Now it's time to go ahead and zip up the directory. So I'll just put zip up the directory contents. Smiley face. Okay, so we're going to say form1 dot abzipper1 dot file name is equivalent to the save location. And then we're going to do form1 dot abzipper1 dot the base directory for this is going to be extract file path, and then we're going to do the selected directory. So this preserves the directory structure. And I hope I spelled this correctly. Good Lord, I need to go back to school. Okay, so basically at this point we need to start adding the files and then zip them. So form1 dot abzipper1 dot add files, we're going to add the directory name plus a ending backslash. But in this, we want it to preserve and grab anything and everything inside of there. So we're going to use a special character. This is an asterisk. And we're going to put that after the backslash. So it's going to get the directory name plus anything that's in there. And we're looking to filter it for any file, anything and everything that it finds. So that's filter all for any file. And that is it. And this will include any and all files within the selected directory. And then we have to zip it. In order to zip it, you just call save. It's really simple. form1.abzipper.save. That does the zipping process for us. And all the zipping code is hidden from us, abstracted from us inside of the abzipper library, which is already written for us by the team that wrote abbreviate components. So that's that. That's literally what you got to do. So now there's going to be a couple of things we got to do. We got to worry about how we're going to. Let's take a look here real quick and see what we've got here. We've got a create thread, execute, form create, which has nothing in it, and the progress bar's change event procedure. You know, honestly, guys, I think the problem, this is not going to work. Let's get rid of this code. To make it better, this component has an automated event that handles that for us. So rather than us doing the primitive thing and making the progress bar like take this up by itself, there's no need to. It's already written for us, which is even better than what I did. Because in the AB zipper component, you can come over here to events, and then you can scroll down, and you're basically essentially looking for archive progress. So on archive progress right here, it's already written. So if you double click this, you're going to see that the progress is equal to a byte. Well, a byte can basically be considered the value integer by which this is going to tick up by. So we can just say progress bar 1 dot position is equivalent to progress. That's it. It's even shorter of a line of code than I wrote before. How cool is that? All right, so that's done. But the problem with that is that we could leave the other code there. We also want to tick up the label here. So actually, yeah, the code I wrote there was actually valid. Let's just put that back. So we're going to put self.label1.caption is going to be equivalent to int2str self.progressbar1.position. Okay, and then we're going to also add on our percentage sign, which is going to simply be percent, and that should be okay. So actually this code was pretty valid, because I mean I don't want to have to do it up here. I might as well just do it down here every time this thing ticks. Okay, so now that that's taken care of, we have to begin the process of actually running this. So when we click the button, this is the final bit of code that we have to worry about. So on the button click, we have nothing written. So we got to put some logic in here to make it happen, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to make a variable section, and we're going to do selected directory, as well as a save location as a string. And then down below, we're going to do a zip thread, which is a tzip thread, which we have to initialize in order to create our tthread and make it work in the background. So we're going to put zip thread is equal to a tzip thread, which we created above. If you'll notice, this tzip thread right here is all, see how all this stuff is highlighted when I double click on the tzip thread? Basically, this is your tzip thread's execute procedure. Everything that we're doing deals with tzip thread, including our class that we created, which is a tthread. So tzip thread is a thread that we're going to be running in the background to do all this work inside the thread's execute procedure, right? So on the button click, we're creating two locations, the selected directory that we're going to be zipping up and the save location where we're going to be saving to, and we're creating a thread. We're creating a variable for our thread to call to start the thread. So now, what we are going to do is we are going to ask the user to select a directory to zip up. So to do this, we're going to use the Win API select directory, which will pop up a little dialog and ask the person to select a directory. So we're going to put if select directory select directory to zip up, or I'll just put to zip. That way it looks more professional. We don't need a secondary parameter for this, but we do need to copy the selected directory into our selected directory return value, which is selected dir. Then, so if the user does select a directory, we're going to be able to begin. So we're going to come down here and go begin. And guys, the reason that the reason that that selected directory thing is red right now is because we didn't actually put in the uses statement, which is part of the file control system. So let me explain really quick. This code is trying to reach out to a Windows API it doesn't have access to because of these uses statements. We forgot to add something up here. And the thing that we've specifically forgotten to add, you have to put a comma, and then you have to type in vcl.filecontrol, because this is the unit inside of Delphi that can call the Windows API on this file type stuff. So we're including stuff for file controls like select directory dialog boxes and stuff like this and that, which is what we're trying to use down below. So as you can see, on the button click event procedure now, it's no longer red because we've included that unit so we can use this stuff, okay? So we're asking the user, we're going to pop up a box in front of their face and say, hey, select a directory to zip up. And then we're going to put that directory's file path into our selected directory string value for where the file path is, so we know where it is so we can zip it up, right? And we're going to now come down here and we're going to start programming a little bit. So in our button code, we've already selected the directory. Now we have to, now that we have the directory that we're going to zip, we have to ask the user specifically, you know, where the hell do you want to save the damn thing to? So where do you want to save your zip file to, right? So we're going to say, in this particular case, we're going to say save dialog one dot file name will be equivalent to, we'll just put test.zip. And now we're going to go ahead and allow, the reason that we're doing this is just a default name for our zip file to save. And you guys will understand whenever I run the program what that actually does. It just sets the default name in the save dialog box to being already typed in as test.zip. That way the user doesn't have to type in anything. It just says test.zip. And you'll see it again, like I said, whenever we run it. So now what we're going to do is ask the user where to save the zipped archive. So we're going to put if save dialog one.execute. So if it executes properly, which means that the user did indeed go through and didn't click cancel on the save dialog, then we're going to begin doing whatever the user told the program to do, where to save it. So the code in here is essentially to set the save location to dialog's file name where we chose to save it to, and start the thread and start zipping. And that's it, we're done. The whole program is finished. So the save location is going to be equivalent to save dialog one.filename. And now create and start the zipping thread. So we're going to say zip thread is equivalent to TZipThread.create, and we're going to create it with the two parameters that we have to pass through to the thread's global string variables for a selected directory and a save location. So we're telling the thread, look, we're saying here's our selected directory, and here's our save location. And now we're saying we want, you have to think ahead. So think about it like this. When the thread zips up all the stuff and it gets finished, do we really want to have to sit here and write a bunch of code on terminating the thread, or do we just want the thread to understand, hey, we want the zip thread dot freed on termination to be true? So as soon as the thread gets finished with all of its work, it's just going to die. It's just going to die and disappear from memory, from RAM. It's going to free itself, okay? So we don't have to write any more code other than that. All we have to do is start the thread, and we are done, my friends. Zip thread.start. It is that simple. We're done with the entirety of this program. It's done. So total 110 lines of code, and you can minus literally all of this, which was practically auto-generated for us. So if you minus 43 lines from that, shit, we only have like maybe 25, 35 lines of code or whatever, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and give this a run and see just what happens. So I'm going to run the program. And actually, just to make this a little better, let's go ahead and pull this up here. I'm going to drag this. Let's just, tell you what, let's just click on this and try to set the position to the screen center. That way you guys can see it when I click run. So I'm going to click run, and we're going to get this here, and then we're going to zip up the directory. So we're going to click zip up the directory. It's going to give us a big, long fucking thing here, right? And we're going to go to Bitmastersor, which is my account, go to my desktop. We're going to do the we're going to do a Delphi rat tutorial. We're going to zip this file up. So this is a folder on my desktop, okay? And I'm going to show you guys something. If I open this up on my thing here and show you, it has client, images and media, and server. There's nothing inside of client. There's nothing inside of server, but there are 3 rat images inside the images and media folder. So it's like different sizes for the icon and the PNGs. So this is like a tiny little PNG. This is like a, I don't know, like a 32 PNG, 16 PNG, and then a little icons 8 rat icon. So again, the folder name is called Delphi Rat Tutorial on my desktop. There's 3 folders inside of it: client, server, and images and media. Client doesn't have anything inside of it. Server has nothing inside of it. The only one that does have stuff inside of it is images and media. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and choose Delphi Rat Tutorial and then hit OK. Now it's going to pop up a save dialog, and as you can clearly see, it already has test.zip typed in for the file name. I'm going to save this to my desktop. So I'm just going to hit bitmasterzor desktop, and I'm going to hit save. Okay? Now, okay, whoa, that zipped up really, really super quick. So actually, that since there wasn't much in there, the progress bar just went boom because our worker thread just instantly zipped it up. That was crazy as hell, right? So I'll leave this on the screen, but I'm gonna try to show you. I guess I can't really drag it into this window, but there is a zipped archive on my desktop now called test.zip. I'm gonna open that up for you. Actually, hang on one moment, guys. Sorry for that, guys. Here's the the zip file. So it looks like it actually didn't zip properly some of the things. So it did preserve the files though. It preserved the file name, and it preserved the images and media and server and client. So it's got the originating folder, and it has the client, images and media, and server, but it never zipped up the actual files. So I'm going to correct this, and we're going to take a look at the code. Okay, guys, I'm sorry about that. I had something running in the background, one of my old projects that was still latched onto that same file handle, so that's my bad. I didn't change any code. All I've done is rename the button a little bit and kind of control-D the code to make it look a little nicer, so nothing's changed. And the program works flawlessly. So let me go ahead and delete the corrupted zip file on my desktop from our failed attempt here. I'm going to delete that. Okay, let's run this again, and I'll show you that this does work flawlessly. So whenever you run it, you want to zip the directory. So we're going to click this button, right? It's going to ask us, what do you want to zip? So I want to go desktop, and I want to go, or my name, desktop, and then I want to zip the Delphi Rat tutorial. Now remember, guys, the client doesn't have anything in it, server has nothing in it, but images and media does. So it's going to perfectly preserve this folder in a zip file. So when I hit OK, it's going to now ask us, where would you like to save it? And I'm going to save it right to my desktop as test.zip. Now you can change this if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it default. And I'm going to hit save. And as you can see, the thread already worked so quickly to zip that it just, boom, instantaneous. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to close this out, and then I'm going to go to my desktop and find that zip file. I'm going to open it up for you guys. See this right here? This is the zip file. This is the test.zip, and look, as you can see, it perfectly preserved my Delphi Rat tutorial folder. Now check this out. We're going to go into this folder, and as you can see, it preserved all directories inside as well as all files. Now remember, if I double click on client, there should be no files in here, and there's none. If I double click on server, its size is 0, it has no packed files or nothing, so if I go into it, there's no files there. When I go into images and media, there are all 3 files that are supposed to be there. And if you want to see it actually did work and it did compress them properly, if I double click this to decompress with WinRAR and open the PNG image file, as you can clearly see, it works, and there it is. It's a little rat icon. So there you have it, guys. This is how you would create a directory zipper in Delphi with a single thread that runs in the background as a worker thread and doesn't allow for the main VCL to lag or to be blocked in any way, shape, or form. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will be including this source code in the link in the description. If you have any comments, questions, or whatever, be sure to let me know, and I will try to help you out as best I can. But you know what? Just real quick, since we've made this like work, I'm kind of going to give you guys a little insight as to kind of how I decorate stuff, kind of, I guess you could say. So like, I want you guys to know I have a program here called PyCon. See that? Um, so I'm going to open it up real quick, and I'm going to show you guys something. This is called PyCon. This is like a little program that I use to get icons really, really quickly into my Delphi programs. So if I go into Delphi and open up the Explorer location where my files are saved for my project, this is a directory zipping example project, the same one we're working on. I'm going to create a new folder in here called images and media, and I'm going to go inside of that folder. Now I'm going to go back to PyCon. Now this software is supposed to be a directory zipper, right? So let's think of something like zip, because we need an icon for our form. So what I would do is set this to either SVG, PDF, whatever I want, icon, PNG, whatever. And I'm going to now look for an icon that would be suitable and presentable to work on this application. So honestly, I always think of WinRAR when I think of zipping, or 7-zip or whatever, but I'm just going to use this little WinRAR icon. So we'll save, actually we can go save as, and this is the long way around if you want to like go browse to some place and like save it. Or the beauty of this program is where you can actually just drag and drop, and it's absolutely amazing. So you see this location now has the PNG that we selected, so you can go to your form and you can go down to icon, and you can find it a lot faster now just by loading it in. So you can just go boom, and then once you get in here, you can find your icon. I accidentally saved it as a PNG. Make sure you select icon before you like do that thing. So I'm going to do this, and then here, and then save, and then I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to load in the icon, which is going to be under images and media, and there you have it. And now it's on there. So now it looks more like a presentable zipping based type thing. And just to make it to where the user can't maximize, minimize, and stuff like that, because this is a tiny little program, it's not necessary to do all that stuff. You just want to set the border icons to be just closed so they can close it and that's it. And the border style needs to be single. That way they can't resize. And that's it. That's an entire program for zipping a directory. So there you have it, guys. I will, like I said, I'll put the code in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll continue making Delphi videos for as long as I can and as long as you want me to. Just like little things like this to show you how stuff works. If you guys have anything that I could make, like example-wise, like network programming or just anything, just simply ask in the comments, and I'll be happy to, happy to do that for you. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.